Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take, brought to you by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, Matt Williamson, and Dale Lolley with you once again. This time we're going to be talking about interior offensive linemen. We take our second look, further review, if you will, at the guards and centers. And Dale, another one of these positions where there's a lot to choose from in terms of interior offensive linemen.
Absolutely, and they come in all shapes and sizes. I think there's a lot of interesting guys this year who have some position flexibility. They can play center, they can play guard, and potentially even some tackle here. I'm going to start off here with a guy that a lot of people have ranked as the top blocker in this draft class. Some say offensive tackle with him. I think he's better served as a guard. He went to Northwestern, Peter Skoronski, as a center, a high school center. So he's got that position flexibility to play all over the line. At number 2, this is the one guy who doesn't really have position flexibility, but he's just a massive human being, Osiris Torrance. At 2, at 3, I've got Joe Tippmann from Wisconsin. Played center for them, but that was just because that's where the open spot was at. Probably could have played right tackle.
It's like 6'7", right?
Yeah, he could play anywhere in the line, maybe except for left tackle. You'd feel pretty comfortable with that. Then you're looking at, I got John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota. Again, I think he has some guard flexibility there as well. He's a good size guy, moves well. And then finally,
if you weren't the All Big Ten center this year, don't worry about it, because 3 guys could have been.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of good players there. And then the small school guy, Cody Mauch, the toothless one. He is coming in there from North Dakota State. Could be, he played tackle in college. I think he's going to have to kick inside, potentially at the NFL level. But there's a lot there to like. He's athletic. They played him at center at the Senior Bowl, so I think their teams are taking a look at him at guard, at center, potentially tackle as well, kind of like Skoronski.
My list is actually a little different for the interior offensive line than it was the first time, and I'll just try to highlight the changes here. We're going to move John Michael into the 5 spot, and 4 is Joe Tippmann. We mentioned how big, there we go. Get in there, Bucky Badger. We mentioned how big Tippmann is. He's so big he needs 2 P's and 2 N's to spell
right,
Tippmann.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of football player there. My third guy from TCU, and I mentioned that I'm at the part of the process where I start to go back and rewatch bowl games. And boy, that TCU team was fun to watch. I know the national title game didn't work out the way the Horned Frogs wanted it to, but good player, real grinding interior type. Dale, I'm going to keep Skoronski at tackle, so I am a little higher than you on the toothless wonder, Cody Mauch. But the position flexibility is significant to me, and I put Torrance number 1 just because I think he does what he does really well. Maybe not as flexible as the rest of these guys, position flexible, but the progression he's made just at Florida from the 1 year, but continuing to climb the ladder in terms of caliber of competition, I think he'll fit right in on Sundays.
Yeah, my list is a little different as well. I also had Skoronski as an interior player. As mentioned when we talked tackles, he very well could start his career outside, see where he goes from there. He reminds me a little of Zach Martin coming out of Notre Dame, though. Really good left tackle, but could be an elite guard. See how that works out for him. I had a very difficult time leaving Avila off the top 5. He was the just missed for me.
Really difficult, yeah.
Really, really good player. Old school, wide-bodied guy. Can play center or guard.
And that was a really fun offense to watch. I mean,
yeah, right.
They slammed it up in there, and they threw it down the field.
Yep, and they had a physicality to him, led by him. But I really liked John Michael Schmitz. He was very impressive at the Senior Bowl. I thought he had a good, not great combine. Not that I was overly concerned about that. I think he's a plug-and-play center in a class that might have 2 or 3, probably 3 or 4 actually, future starting centers in the group. Torrance at 3, as you guys both mentioned, old school wide body guard. He could have played in any era. He's not movement based. He has come off the ball and put you on your back. Where Tippmann's much different. He's a center, as you guys mentioned, long and lean. Watch him run. I mean, he opens up that gate and he gets downfield.
It's amazing how well he moves.
Is 6'7" a problem at center?
Can be. I mean, he bends well, and I watched his drills at the combine. I didn't think he was stiff in his lower body, so he gets his pads down low.
I didn't think he was stiff either, but something tells me he's not going to play center.
I could see that as well. Dale's been mentioning that now for months. You know, that he could probably play.
Put him at guard, put him at right tackle. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
He's going to be one of your best 5.
You know, those wide body nose tackles could probably get under his pads at center, and that would worry me a little bit. I have Mock at 5. Also like him quite a bit. More of a movement-based scheme. Like him and Torrance are very, very different to me in terms of body type, how they'll play in the next level. But again, leaving Avila off was really difficult for me. And Whippler's a good player as well.
I had a hard time leaving him off when I did the further review.
It's that third Big Ten center you're talking about.
Right.
Well, and then there's one at Michigan, too. I mean, there's a lot of them.
Right.
He had a great game against Georgia. Ohio State didn't win that game, but his ability to anchor, again, against top shelf competition,
right.
And to get to the second level in the running game after that Ohio State offense moved up and down the field against that Georgia defense,
right.
and it wasn't all just the skill guys. I really like Whippler. There's a couple other guys that got my attention. I mentioned Oluwatimi from Michigan, won the Remington Award, which is the best center, and the Outland Trophy, which is the best interior lineman, offense or defense.
And I think the Michigan O-line won the award as the best O-line in the league.
Second straight year.
Okay.
And what Michigan pretty much did was run the football.
Run the ball, right.
So that's the kind of play you're getting there. Tayshaun Manning from Kentucky is a real interesting study, at least for me. He's overcome leukemia. He lost a year, but it's obviously pretty important to him. If he's willing to fight through that and get himself back into a position where he is draft eligible. Auburn transfer, really interesting. You know, you draft the player, not the backstory, but
right.
An interesting backstory is compelling nonetheless. And I'll throw in McClendon Curtis from Tennessee Chattanooga.
He's interesting.
Just because I don't think a lot of us were talking about Cole Strange at this time last year when we were going over this stuff, were we? And lo and behold, Bill Belichick makes him the 29th overall selection.
Strange pick.
Out of Tennessee. Hey, maybe there's another one where Strange came from. But the real guy that has me wondering, out of the best of the rest group that we're talking about here, Andrew Voorhees of USC.
Yeah.
ACL at the now he was really highly regarded.
Right. He may have been near this list or on this list.
Probably would have been up here somewhere. ACL at the combine. He still did his bench press. Did 38 reps.
After blowing out his knee.
I mean, you've been in some draft rooms, right? Somebody's going to get a deal, right?
I would imagine. I mean, obviously.
Redshirt the kid?
Redshirt the kid. I mean, guard, I think he could possibly play tackle if the knee's okay. He was a good player. I mean, if you can wait a year, you might get a bargain.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I was reading some stuff about what he said after that. And he went to the doctors, and they said, well, it's probably a tear. They didn't know at that point because they lifted the next day. And he's like, doesn't affect my upper body, right? I can go out and lift. And so he went out and had the best lifts of anybody at the combine on the offensive line. So tough kid. Mike, I wanted to mention one of the guys that you mentioned in our offensive tackle talk, Tyler Steen from Alabama. I really think this guy could be a future guard in this league. Smart, tough.
Seems like a lot of them have played both, right?
Right. Yeah, I think some of those lines are getting a little blurred at this point in the game, and I think you just find a spot for that guy to start somewhere in your line. Even he was an offensive tackle in college, great, but we're going to move him inside to guard. We've seen it happen here with guys like Ramon Foster and things of that nature, and they have long careers. Guys who were starting offensive tackles in college, kicking inside.
Yep.
Another guy that fits that description, Braden Daniels of Utah. Tackle, guard, and guard. 43 starts and at least 10 starts at all three of those positions.
Right.
Those
guys, that kind of position flexibility is really valuable.
Daniels had a very good combine as well, more athletic than I expected.
Let me correct something I just said. It was both tackles and guard.
Okay.
But, same flexible and experienced. And do you think as much of the Utah program as I do? And
they've
Charles
really come a long
Davis
way, right.
of the NFL Network, who said Daniels does, from a program that breeds toughness.
There you go.
I'm sold.
Yeah, right.
Of those guys
Good hit rate with those guys. My last nugget is, we mentioned the combine. You wouldn't think it, but the short shuttle for interior O linemen is an incredibly good indicator of success at the NFL level. And people don't think about it this way, but they're always trying to block someone quicker, more athletic. They have to change directions a lot or get to the second level and hit a moving linebacker. some of these guys did really well. Schmitz in particular, Tippmann, but John Gaines from UCLA had a phenomenal combine, particularly with the shuttle and the movement drills. History shows that those guys usually hit at the next level.
Boy, Whippler
Does well too, right? Yeah.
when the ball's snapped, he does a good job changing direction,
Yep.
finding that
Hitting
next
moving
guy
targets.
to hit.
Yep.
That's going to do it for our second look at the interior offensive lineman. Thanks for finding us, however, and wherever you found us. I want to remind everybody, keep pounding away at those Steelers social media platforms because we are continuing to churn out the pre-draft analysis in advance of the NFL draft on April the 27th through the 29th in Kansas City. Until next time, thanks for finding us this time. For Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. This has been the NFL Draft Triple Take, brought to you by UPMC.